I am so happy to be back here with you guys today. We have got another special guest. Welcome to Denise. Hi, Denise.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm so excited to be here with you today. We are going to chat about some really great things today, as always. Denise is going to take us through her journey of going through some things in her past that she's going to tell us about that and how she's made it through the journey. So, Denise, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? And what is it that you are going to take us on a journey through today?
Okay, so my name is Denise, and I am 57 years old. So I am able to take you through this very long journey of what we call life, right?
Yes.
Um, and where it all began for me and where I am today. And to be quite honest, I haven't really opened all this up. And so I do have my box of tissues just in case. So I realized that I've kind of maybe just hid everything and haven't really brought it all out. So, but I'm doing this obviously for our hard knocks of life, right? And
Yes.
also to help other women out there that may have experienced or going through all of the things that I have experienced.
I love that. So before we even get started, let me ask you, what has been the change that makes you feel like you're ready to actually start to discuss this part of your chapter that you haven't been very open about?
I feel that it's with maturity, age, and really feeling much more confident within myself.
I
That's what,
love that.
yes.
Yes, I said that self-confidence, that working on ourselves. Like for me, I've only been really opening up about my personal stuff for about 6 months. And it's been very mind blowing to a lot of people to hear about my childhood trauma and all of these things that I've gone through. And,
Yes.
a lot of it for me was protection reasons. I wanted to
Yes.
protect my parents. I didn't want my parents to be like, oh my gosh, like she remembers that from her childhood. But I,
Right.
even more than that, I wanted to protect my siblings because there's things that my siblings are like, what? That happened? And, it's all out black and white, literally. I had a book published last year, a collaborative book, and my siblings were like, I didn't realize this stuff had happened. And, that
Yes.
was my fear is I don't want to hurt anybody, but it's time to
Yes.
heal, right?
Yes, yes. And I agree because, I have children.
Mm.
And that really has been my block. I don't necessarily wanted to bring all of that they have to hear of all of that.
Yes.
But it's time. It's time. They're much older now and they're experiencing their life journeys, and we're never promised tomorrow. And I'm ready. I'm ready for this. I'm very excited for this.
I am so happy and I'm so proud of you. That's amazing. Well, let it rip, friend. Take us back.
Okay. So we're going to start with when it all began. I was 14 years old and I was in junior high school. And this is also all part of the journey back then, how things worked versus what they do now. But at that stage of the game, that long time ago, anybody could walk into school. You didn't have to press a button, you didn't have to do any of those things. And this boy actually showed up in my classroom, whom I was very aware should not have been there, but we had a substitute teacher that day. And isn't it just wild how I can remember that long ago, but I cannot remember things I did last week?
I
So,
know.
you know how that kind of just resonates with you. So, nevertheless, I asked to use the restroom. Back then, they gave you a pass. And back then, you could have a boy and a girl go to the restroom at the same time. He then in turn asked to go to the bathroom, and then he actually caught me in the hall and said, hey, I'd like to get to know you better, right? And I had no desire, nothing like that. But then we had a mutual friend and somebody who I grew up with. I went to elementary school with, went
Mm.
to junior high school. And back then, my friend called on the landline and said, hey, we want to stop in. We're in the neighborhood. Is that okay? And I said yes. And that's where it all begins. Okay. We have to start with the foundation of where it all began, right?
Absolutely.
So being young and being obviously naive and the bad boy syndrome, all that good stuff. So basically we started hanging out is what I would call it, and then it led into other things, and we became boyfriend girlfriend, if that's what you want to call it. And then at the age of 17 I became pregnant, and I had our first son. I turned 18 on May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, and my son was born May 27th. So literally just turned 18. By this time, we are living together, and there's a lot going on, right? So let's start with the person that I was involved with, which was my husband, is an addict. Okay. And alcohol was his number one. Many other things, but alcohol was the true factor there. And so when he would drink, he would become a different person, and he would become a violent person. So here I am at this very young stage of the game, right? Not understanding the hard knocks of life or the journey that I was going to be on. And so we would experience things such as he came home one night and he threw me to the ground. He ripped my clothes off. And when I say ripped, he ripped them. And just, hit me, beat me, right? And I am a very petite woman. I was only 100 pounds back then, soaking wet. But I'm 4'11". So I've always had a very petite structure. Um, there are many, many instances that occurred and happened, but one night he called and he said that he was on his way home and, he was going to kill me. Now, I believed that, okay, with all my heart and soul, because he became a monster, right? He just became this person that I didn't even recognize. And so I grabbed my son out of the crib and I got in a closet. All right. Now, again, I'm naive, right? You're going in a closet. If he's going to come home, he's going to find you. But that was just all I knew to do.
Mm.
So we got in the closet. I took a bottle in the closet. I took his binky. I brought his blanket so that he would sleep in my arms and not make a noise. I was so petrified. And so we sat in that closet for hours because he didn't come home. And then when he did come home, he started screaming through the house. I heard it. And then he blacked out. He just passed out. Thank God. So God was looking over us, right? Um, he would have these blackouts. He would come home with black eyes, not know what happened, a broken nose, a broken jaw. I mean, there was just so many things that he would just literally black out. So there came a time when I said, "Self, this is not this is not what I want for the rest of my life, right? I deserve, deep in my heart of my soul, I know I deserve better than this, and I have to have a better life for my children." Along with physical abuse comes mental abuse. I mean, let's face it,
Mhm.
right? You're going to be nothing. You are nothing. You are fat. You are ugly. You are, never going to make anything of yourself, right? So at that young age, those things are what you believe. And honestly, I really didn't think, first of all, I had no education. He
Mhm.
was controlling, so therefore I wasn't working, right? I can remember a time where my cousin came over and we made a flower bed outside. It was so beautiful. We dug it up, we put the mulch in, we added the flowers. It was absolutely gorgeous. And he wanted dinner on the table when he got home. So dinner was on the table. As soon as he walked in the door, he came in, he saw the flower bed, he flipped the table, with dinner on it and went on a rant, and all because we did a flower bed. That's how controlling, right? That's the point that I'm trying to get across. It was a flower bed. Right?
Yeah, right.
So fast forward a little bit, and I get pregnant again, and I was on birth control. This is devastating news to me because I already knew that I wanted out of this marriage, and here I am, pregnant again, right? So I get pregnant, I have our second son. Okay. I've been ready to leave, but the timing isn't right. What am I going to do? I'm pregnant. I have no skills. I have no confidence. I have nothing. So at this stage of the game, dealing with what I'm dealing with just was a better alternative. And I hear people say all the time about women who are abused, well, no one's holding you there, but you haven't walked a mile in someone's shoes. You don't understand everything that goes along with all of that. It is not just something somebody says, oh, you know what? I'm just going to pick up and go. We had one vehicle. I wouldn't have had a vehicle. There was just so many things, right?
Well, and like you said, it's not just the physical abuse, the mental and emotional part of it. You're so broken down that as much as your subconscious knows that you deserve better. Your subconscious knows that you are in a bad spot. You cannot get yourself past the fear of, what if I do leave? What if he does find me? What if he does hurt me? What if he does something to the children? What if we have to share custody? I'm not there to protect them. This is literally my mother's journey with my dad. Everything that you are saying is exactly what my childhood looked like, aside from my dad did not work a job because, God forbid, he went to work. My mom would have, of course, been having multiple affairs on my dad.
Right,
Yes.
right,
So
right.
everything you're saying, I watched my mom go through. And it's not that my mom enjoyed that, but it was the same thing. She didn't have an education. She didn't. Support systems now were so vast. Back then, for women, you had very few places that you could go to for help. And how the heck were you going to get there when you had a husband breathing down your throat, so pissed off that you even made a flower bed? Which, in my mind, people are like, really? Why would he get mad? Because, God forbid, Denise had a good day.
Right.
God forbid she enjoyed herself that day and made something beautiful that made her feel good. That
Absolutely.
is the level of abuse, because that is exactly what my mom went through with my dad
Wow.
for 18 years
Wow.
and 9 children.
Wow.
Yeah. So everything you're saying is so relatable to my life, and I understand it.
And
That mental and emotional beat down is, like you said, it's almost easier to just deal with it at this point than to try to figure it out.
absolutely. And I know that's very hard for people on the outside to wrap their head around, right? And that's why when I listen to other people's journeys and other people's stories and other people's lives, I have compassion no matter what it is, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, I went through my own journey, right? And it may not have been the same exact as someone else's journey, but I can relate because it's not easy. Let's take, I mean, even sexual abuse. When you're abused, people say, "Oh, well, you could have told somebody." Well, imagine being a young child and having something like that occur or happen and needing to tell someone how. I mean, it all comes into play with who we are, what we are, and how we're feeling, and the innocence, right? The
Yes.
innocence that we have. We don't understand that. So for me it was like, this is just where you're at. And then tragedy happened. So I have two brothers. and one is 8 years younger than me, and one was 3 years younger than me. So the brother that was 3 years younger than me, him and I were very, very close, right? Because we were only 3 years difference in age, and he was actually living with me for a very short period of time, but he came to live with me. He was on his own journey and had some things going on, and he was killed. Okay, he was killed in a motorcycle accident. So now I've lost the only funnel I've had, my best friend, okay? And I just didn't know how to handle that. All right. And that was at the, age of 21, 22. So he passed, and that really did me in. And then about 6 months later, our house burnt down.
Oh my goodness.
And it gets worse. The house burnt down, and again, young and naive, because here I am at 57, girl, and I can tell you I've learned so much along the way, right?
Yes, yes.
But they accused me of burning the house down. So I had to go in and do a lie detector test and all of these other things. And I didn't do it. To find out this, that ultimately at the end of the day, what happened was somebody stuffed a towel into the dryer vent, and that is obviously being vented outside, right? So what they said was and this is why I can identify when I watch movies or hear stories of people being accused of something that they didn't do. I mean, here I am. I didn't do this. We have no money. I can't just go get an attorney. I don't have any guidance. All I know is I'm innocent, and I'm going to go and tell them I'm innocent, right? And they're going to have to believe me.
Right.
Little did I know that that's not how that all works, right? So basically what happened was they interrogated me, they picked me up, they took me into a room, they did all kinds of stuff, and then said you need to take a lie detector test, and I was willing to do that because I knew I was innocent, but
Yeah.
little did I know that that also is not 100% either. But thankfully it came back that I didn't do it, so they actually stopped the harassing of myself. To hear to find out that the neighbor had been in a what you would call back in the day like a mental institution,
Mhm.
and he was a pyromaniac, which I don't know why they wouldn't have tried to find him, or have discovered that he was right next door.
Right.
So he watched the fire. So he sat there and watched the fire after he had stuffed the towel inside the dryer vent.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
so yes, so craziness. So I had all of this that occurred and happened. So again, the journey of my life was not ready to leave and needed to deal with all of these things. So fast forward, I apologize. I'm getting a call there. I hope that didn't
Nope,
interrupt.
you're
Or
good. You're good.
um, so then you fast forward, and I decided this is it. I'm leaving. Okay, this all occurred when I was about 21, 22. It was about 25 when I decided I just can't do this anymore. The physical abuse, the mental abuse, everything, and I knew I just had to be strong enough to get out. And I didn't know how. I didn't know how. I didn't have a plan. I didn't know what I was going to do. And I think back to those times, and I don't know how I did it, because I certainly can tell you at this stage of the game, if I was experiencing, I don't think I'd have the energy, right? The energy that it took to just get out there into the world. So, fast forward, I have two boys in a very abusive relationship. He's an addict, and I decide that I'm going to leave. And I know that that's going to come with consequences. So it did. It came with severe consequences. It's like I say to people, it's like getting out of the mob.
Mm.
So he would get on top of the roof. He broke the door down. I mean, it was just one thing after another. And again, I was in fear for my life. I just didn't know what he was going to do. And he didn't need to physically have a gun. He could have just physically harmed me to death.
Yeah.
So then there was the whole custody thing. And, you bring all that up, right? I mean, it doesn't go away because you're leaving that person. There's children, there's everything involved. There's a house, there's all of these things. And remember, he was all I knew. I was 14 years old. So I decided that I was working two jobs to try to keep a roof over our head. And I would say, try to reason, hey, listen, I'm working two jobs. Is there any way you could buy the boys a new winter coat? And of course, the response that I always got, I'd rather see you dead than give you $1, right? So I thought, okay, I'm gonna bite the bullet here. I'm gonna take him to domestic relations. Now I'm really scared. So the night before I threw up. I was up all night. I cried. I wasn't sure I was even going to be able to do this because, again, back in the day, when you went to domestic relations, you both sat in the waiting room together. Well, by God, my luck is just bad luck. I get there, and who is arriving at the same time?
Mm.
We're in the freaking elevator together.
Oh, goodness.
Okay. So, long story short, I never saw a dime. What happens is that if you owe $5,000 and you pay $100 of that $5,000, and it takes a long time to accumulate up to $5,000, you could stay out of jail. Okay. So he knew the game, he knew how to play it, he knew what to do, and he played it very well, very, very well. So I never saw any money. So I took on a third job. All right. And decided that, you know what, Denise, you've got to get this figured out. You have to get a job where you maybe are working one full-time job and another part-time job, but you got to get this figured out. So I went and I interviewed and I landed the job of my dreams. Okay. And I was finally starting to get a little bit of confidence. And so I became a recruiter, and I was damn good at it. And I found it to be a passion, and it's something that I liked to do. And so I had one full-time job with now benefits, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then worked a part-time job at night, and I cleaned offices in the evenings. And so that was the start of my journey of being able to pull myself out of what was a horrible situation. And it never stopped, that horrible situation. I want you to all know that, it didn't stop, right? There were many times where we would have to meet each other I would have to drop off the children, and he would just literally just come at the car and grab me. And there was just always something, so it didn't stop. But I just said to myself, self, you're going to get through this. This too shall end someday, right? So fast forward a little bit, and I swore I would never get married again. When you are dealing with those types of situations, you just are never again, right? Never
Yeah.
gonna get myself in a situation like that. And so I went on a date, and I met this man, and he was so kind. I didn't know how to handle that. So that takes me on to the next journey, because the bottom line is, you've been in an abusive relationship. You only know survival.
Yes.
You only know to scream, yell, and physically fight. That's what
Mm-hmm.
you know. I was 4'11" and 100 pounds, but let me tell you something, girl. I was fighting all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. So I had to learn how to have a relationship in a normal relationship. And that was not easy. He would say things that were nice, and I'd be like, you're just being nice right now, or you there's something underlying. And he would just look at me and be like, wow, you have a lot of wounds to heal here. So here we are, 18 years later of marriage, 20 years of being together. And he is the best thing that ever happened to me. So
Mhm.
there was a journey that was planned for me.
Mhm.
And I became a CEO of a company. So I went from being in very poor to being in an abusive relationship to where I am today. And I run a medical staffing agency. And I did all of that because I had the drive, I had the will, I had the survival mode. But I am going to be very honest. Had those things not happened to me, I may not be here where I am today, because that is what made me a survivor. That is what said, Denise, you have to have the will and the power to be able to make it, girl. And that is where I am today. So I want to make sure that I'm conveying all of this out, because I need people and women to understand that there is hope, and that you can survive and you will survive. And it is hard. It is the hard knocks of life. But there is that hope, and that I would wish nothing more than, if somebody needed something or had something that they wanted to talk to me about, I would love the opportunity to do so. Because had I had something to somebody that because you have very limited friends when you're in that type of relationship, right? And it's very hard to explain to somebody what you're experiencing, because their automatic response is, well, just
Just
leave.
leave. Just
Yeah,
leave.
yeah.
I know my mom actually, they're back friends again, but one of her best friends said, I can't do this with you anymore. I can't be here to watch you continue to go through this in your life, and actually cut the friendship off.
Yes. Yes. Happened all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. And you doubt yourself. You doubt, what am I doing? Why am I doing this?
Hmm.
There's just so much that goes into it. I mean, we would need to do 10 podcasts, right? Just
Yeah.
to understand that whole journey. But even
Hmm.
if we can get 30 minutes in to express to women, you'll get through this. There is hope at the end of the tunnel. And that's really what I want to convey, because I couldn't see it. I was so scared, and I was so codependent. So codependent.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I was with him when I was 14 years old. It was the only person I knew, the only man that I knew. I mean, I would go to the grocery store after the fact, and by the way, I only married him because of taxes and insurance and all that stuff. So it wasn't like I got married because I was in love, right? I
Yeah.
got married out of convenience. And of course, he wouldn't divorce me either. So it took 5 years to get a divorce. So,
Mm.
that's that whole ball of wax. But afterwards, the post traumatic stress that you go through, I would go to the grocery store and I'd start crying. Now that sounds silly, Denise. Well, it's because I only knew to buy for him. Like, I didn't know anything else. I knew how many pieces of bacon he liked on his burger. Okay? I
Hmm.
knew how he liked his steak. I mean, that sounds insanity. Insane.
Hmm.
It is all part of that process.
Yes. It is very unfortunate, because a lot of women, I feel like, are going to relate in a different way, some of our viewers that are more around, the 40 and plus range are going to be like, okay, yes, some of these new younger women, 20s and 30s, are going to start to be like, oh my gosh, this is where I'm at in my life right now. And,
Right.
it takes so much. I love it because your story literally emulates what I talk about here, which is getting unstuck from your trauma and stuck in your healing, because that living in that kind of lifestyle for as long as you have, it changes you forever. My mom went from being the most docile, quiet woman to, you better effing listen to what I'm about to say right now. Because she
Yes.
found her voice. She found like nobody's ever gonna touch me again. Nobody's gonna disrespect me. She's such a different even mom now than she was when I was a kid. My mom would be cooking dinner with like a kid on her back, one in her arm, two on her legs. My one sister Lindsay's outside trying to start the garage on fire. And then where was my dad? Nowhere to be seen to
We've seen.
participate in taking care of, what needed to be taken care of. So she had to go through her own change in her life to even find like you said, even finding a job. I remember my mom finding her first job and how she was so uncomfortable being around people. Just
Yes.
being around people in public
Oh,
was scary because she couldn't
yes.
do that without my dad being next to her.
Yes.
There's a lot of things that go into this mental change that you have got to get over the fear. When you said he was still showing up all of the time and it was like leaving the mob, my dad did the same. My dad wasn't willing to let my mom go. Why would he let my mom go? He had everything he wanted. He was the controller of everything. So when it didn't make sense for him, but he would show up, he would ask for his child support money back that she would get.
Right.
I mean, it was like a for real. Like, I love my dad. He's my dad. And my dad, before he was shot, started to authentically become who he was supposed to be. So, these last years of his life that we took care of him was an honor for me. But he was an asshole when I was a kid. Like, being
Yes.
an adult when I was 16 years old, and I looked at my mom and said, We need to go because this dad's not changing, mom. Like, you need to go because you have 8 children under me that are going to be here and then I'm going to be gone. What are you going to do? That's when you know something is so bad, when your own daughter is like,
It's
we need
like
to
we
split
have to
the family.
go.
Yeah, we need
Yeah.
to split because this
Yeah.
dad's not changing. This is horrible.
Was he an addict as well?
Yes, my dad had the same issue where alcohol was his main thing, but if you put any drug in front of my dad, he would have been
He'd
like,
do
"What
it.
is this?" and
Yep.
he would have done it.
Yep.
And
Same
same
thing.
thing, coming home from the bar, always in bar fights all of the time. I mean, it was
I mean, it was to the point where, if I had the vehicle, okay, and he actually walked to the local bar, he would take the starter wire off the car so that
mm,
I wouldn't be able to get in the car and go anywhere. God forbid
yeah.
if we had an emergency, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you know, providing all the details, like I said, would take forever. But the bottom line is this is what we're talking about, the control to that point.
Yeah. What do you think now, being this far into the healing part of it? What was your ex-husband's background like? I mean, do you know how did he grow up? Like, do you know those kind of things about him?
I do. I do. So let's see here. He was 3 years older than me. Okay. So when I was 14, he was what, 17? Okay. Um, he was raised by his mother. He had a father, but the father actually left his mom for another woman and actually had 3 boys. So get this, okay? There was 6 boys altogether. He left my husband's mom, got with somebody else. She had 3 boys.
Mm,
He decided at that point he didn't bother with his own children, with his other children, right? So there was the whole daddy issue.
mm-hmm.
Okay. Not to mention, they all lived very close together, right? Probably within 15 minutes of each other. The mother never got over the him leaving. Okay, just never till the day she died. Okay, she loved that man, although he died before her. He was an alcoholic. Okay, going into bar rooms and bar fights and all of that. Um, but more importantly, my ex husband um drank since he was probably 10, 11. Starting off with drinking a little bit and then drinking more and more and more. Was getting suspended from school, got expelled from school. His drinking just increasingly got worse. He became an evil, evil, evil person when he drank. I mean, there was just a very black side there. And then it did come out. So I met him when I was 14. Him and I split when I was, 25, something like that. So probably when I was about 20 or 21, it did come out that he had been sexually abused by his uncle. So he was
Mm-hmm.
sexually abused by a man.
Mm-hmm.
And then it came out even more that this uncle had been sexually abusing another cousin. So, and now I'm going to be very honest with you. Now, at this stage of the game, now all these people, for the most part, are dead. Okay. My ex-husband's mother's dead, the father's dead, the other wife that he had left, she's dead. The uncle who abused is dead. But it came out that he actually had been abusing everybody.
Oh no. Mm.
He abused them all.
See, that's why I asked because, since I've started this podcast, which has only been 6 months, which is crazy, because
Yes.
we've made big dents already in 6 months. So I cannot wait to see how many lives we're about to change in 6 years. But the reason I asked is because I get a lot of questions, about now things are coming out about my dad in the past and how did you take care of your dad in the capacity that you had to take care of him when he was the beginning of your school of hard knocks? And my answer is always the same. I had to think about it because at first I was pissed. Like, don't come at my dad like that because it's my
Right.
dad,
Right.
right?
Right.
So, like, how you're wanting to protect your boys, like, they have one dad, and regardless of what they know, that's still dad. So I said, I'm not who he used to be. I'm who he was designed to be, like what my dad wanted to aspire to be. But his childhood was horrible. His dad also left when he was a boy, and he also has two brothers from that same dad. And he also left for another woman and left state and just left my dad and his two brothers. My
Wow.
dad's mother, however, did remarry and they were both extremely abusive to all three of those boys. They had two children together that were coddled and just the light of the world. But they would actually have my dad and one of his brothers fight for entertainment for their friends. He was told he was ugly. My mom, when he started dating my mom, his mom, notice I don't call her grandma
Right.
because she was never. And what she did
Right.
to my dad was horrible. But she would say things to my mom like, "How can you date my son when he's such an ugly little sea sucker?" Is what she would call him all the time,
Wow.
all the time. So what I try to get across to people is that does not excuse what my dad did to my mother. That does not excuse what my dad did to myself or to my siblings. We were beat as often, if not maybe more than even my mom. He would walk through the town like he owned it and he would fight every single person. It doesn't excuse any of that, but
Yeah.
there's a reasoning behind it that's like
Yes.
he just he wanted to be good, but he didn't have the right help to bring the good out. and this big wall was built up of just pure nobody's ever going to hurt me again. And this woman's not leaving me. And my children are going to not leave and they are going to listen. His friends would say, "Man, for you guys having 9 kids, those are some well behaved children." No, those are some scared children.
Children.
There's a difference between well behaved and scared because you
Scared.
knew if you stepped out of line, you were not just going to get spanked. My dad literally tried to break wicker furniture with my body one time when I was 13 years old. The
Wow.
way that he picked me up and kept slamming me and slamming me. And in my mind, I thought, I
Wow.
know that this is not going to break. I'm going to
To
break
break.
before this breaks, you know?
Yes.
But
Yes.
that's how I mean, when you say your ex-husband would turn into a monster, my dad was a monster when he was drunk. He was so unrecognizable as a human being, the anger. And it was everything that he held inside because he craved love from his mom in particular so much. Even up into her dying day, he would go there and like hold her hand. He was there the last day that she died. And I thought, how are you giving this to that woman? And then I thought, because that's his only mom, because he loves her and he just wants her to accept him so bad,
It.
you know? And it's like, that's the thing about when we're talking about this kind of stuff, there's more than likely always going to be something that happened to the person that does not excuse it and never will excuse it. But there's a reasoning and almost an understanding psychologically about what programmed them to do these things. You know, like that saying, bad children are not born. Bad children are created by what they see. It's the same thing with some adults. Some adults get so stuck in this loop of control. I have to have this. I can't let this go. I have to, she's not leaving me because, and it's this loop that they get stuck in. Now you can just pick up your phone and ask it, I need help psychologically. Before it was open up a phone book, go to the yellow pages. If you don't know what that is, you're probably very young. But, and then you had to humble yourself to call the place and walk in. And now mental health is talked about just everywhere, everywhere,
Yes.
everywhere, everywhere.
Yes.
Everybody has a mental health issue because we do. Look at the world. All of us have it, but no
Yes.
one's ashamed about it anymore. There's very few people that are still ashamed because it's so relatable now.
Yeah. Well, you didn't even know what mental health was back then, right? You
Yes.
just thought, I mean, let's face it, postpartum from having a baby,
Yep.
that was unheard of. You got up the
Yes.
next day, you took a shower, and you kept it moving. Doesn't matter if you're feeling blue or not.
Yep.
Now it's a real thing, right?
Yeah.
So back then, yes, mental health was not looked at all, right? Not
Mhm.
whatsoever. You didn't know if somebody was mentally unstable or, bipolar or depression or what. And yes, going back to you, I mean, we have very similar stories, right?
Yes.
Very
Yes.
similar stories. And yes, he was created by his upbringing, right, and by what he dealt with. um and you're right, there is no excuse, but
Yeah.
at the same token, I would say to him, listen, you need to get help. Like, you need help. Like, I don't
Hmm.
know where we begin here, but I'll help you. But I learned early on, you cannot force somebody. You may want it in your heart and soul because you know that at the end, that's what somebody needs in order for us to stay, a unit. But at the end of the day, if the person is not willing to do that, there's nothing you can do. It has to
Yeah.
be on their terms. And do you know, to this day, that he still has never, ever, ever gotten help? So he is, what am I, 57? So he's 60,
60. Yeah.
60 years old and still doing what he did when he was 20.
Yeah. See, and that was the change with my dad. I mean, my dad became my dad first when I was probably about 20, 21. and he really was integrated in my life and would show up all of the time at my house. Every conversation always ended with "I love you." Every
Mm.
single time. I couldn't leave his apartment that he had without, us hugging him first. Like if we walked out and we didn't hug him, he chased us out to the car. And it was this like almost like this desire for him to show me what he should have shown me when I was a kid. When
Right.
he came out of his coma at first, when he was shot, the first thing that he said was, "I was a bad dad."
Ah,
And I thought, man, my dad has laid here for 2 months. Regardless of what people think about when you're in a coma, you are not able to physically talk to people, but you're talking. And he
ah,
replayed his life and what he had done for 2 months. And that was the first thing, not "I love you, where am I, what's going on." I was a bad dad.
no kidding.
And it's
That,
like, wow, and it just broke me because I was like, Dad, it's okay. We're not going to talk about that right now. Like everything's been forgiven, but he was so like changed after that brain injury happened. The way he would hold my hand, touch my face, hug me differently was this like nurturing thing that my whole soul needed before he died.
died.
He gave me everything. People are like, "You gave your dad everything in those 6 years." I did, but he also gave me everything that he had too. So we're only 4 months, it's going to be 4 months on Valentine's Day since my dad died. I'm still so new into this grief. But what
Right.
he gave me at the end was such a beautiful gift, you know? And that's the thing about healing. It's just everybody has the possibility to do it. But you're right, you cannot heal somebody. Somebody
Right.
has to want that healing for themselves. And some people get so unfortunately stuck as "this is just who I am and people are going to accept it." Well, they
Yep.
get very used to having a very lonely life
Yes.
because
Yes.
that is what is going to happen. And my dad didn't want a lonely life. He never got over my mom. He loved my mom for his
How,
whole entire life.
so did your mom and dad divorce then? So
My
did they
mom and
find?
dad divorced when I was 16 years old. My mom
Mm.
remarried again when I was like in my early 20s.
Uh-huh.
And my stepdad was like no big prize either. My mom was very, if you were a bad boy and you can like bang your head and sing rock music and shoot bourbon, like that's her. And my mom didn't even smoke cigarettes. Like she was like such a good woman. Like I thought, why were you so attracted to dad? Like that's so weird, And then like when I put together a photo album for the nurses when my dad was in brain rehab, there was this old photo of my dad with his like longer hair, shirt like opened up, all Patrick Swayze like, right? And the nurse is like, when my mom my mom came and visited my dad one time in rehab to be
Did she?
supportive for us children.
Yeah.
And the nurses are like, "Oh, I can see why you married Bill. He was a really good looking guy back in the day." And my mom goes, "Well, you think I would have married an ugly man?" Like it was just like this running thing. But my stepdad wasn't any type of prize either. But it was so great because after my dad had received this brain injury, because my mom really obviously despised my dad. She
Yes.
didn't want anything bad to happen to him because she has children with him, but she
Right.
could have cared less about what he was doing in his life. "I don't care to know about it, don't want to know
Yes.
about it. That's the color of
Yes.
divorce. I don't care."
Right.
But when he got shot, she actually took off of work for the first week and sat in the emergency room every single day so she could take turns consoling her children as we came out. And the last Christmas that we had, not this past one, because my dad passed away, but in 2024, she actually invited him over for Christmas.
Oh, wow.
So it was the first time that my whole family had Christmas together since I was 15 years old.
Wow.
Almost all of my siblings, my dad, my mom's boyfriend at that time, because my stepdad has passed away 8 years ago. But it just was like this full circle moment of just pure peace, and it made my heart's so happy because I'm 46 years old, but like you're still a little girl on the inside when it comes to your parents and your grandparents and seeing my parents together in the same room and like we're praying together and breaking bread together and opening gifts, like it was like this is like mind blowing to me. Normally, I take all of the photos and I couldn't even because I was just soaking every emotion in. Every single thing. It was like so healing for my soul. And I thought, God really works in magical ways because my dad wasn't here for this last Christmas. It was just pure perfection, the way that everything worked out. So it was beautiful.
Absolutely.
And then to watch my mom be able to my parents never got together for events. Like a wedding, opposite ends of the room, graduations, opposite ends. I mean, they were
I
at
was
my,
going to ask you because there was 9 kids, so there was a
yeah.
lot of events that were happening. Because to be quite frank with you, to end the journey, I have 2 boys, right? And
Hmm.
my oldest, he's never been married, and he's 39, I think, going to be 40 soon. And my baby, who is 35, actually just got married.
Mm,
And so I'm going to be very honest. You know, was dreading all of it, right? Because it's not me who harbors ill feelings. It's not
yeah,
me who harbors all of these things. It's because you're still the person that you used to be, and
yeah.
you haven't changed. So that means we're going to have chaos.
Hmm.
That's exactly what happened. We had chaos. So with that all being said, yeah. So it at 60 years old, you still haven't changed. You haven't gotten any help. You haven't done anything differently. You're gonna have the same things that happen. You can't expect different results when you're doing the same thing. So you know, it was just very disheartening. Very, very, very disheartening.
Yeah, and he's unfortunately stuck in his own trauma.
Yes.
And that's just what it is. And some people unfortunately just stay stuck there.
Yes.
But not Denise.
No, girl, no. Absolutely
Woo!
not. Woo-hoo!
Oh, that was such a powerful story. Like, my gosh, like, I am so proud of you. What a beautiful walk that you've been through. And, one of the favorite things that you said, there was so many different things, but you are who you are because of your past. And a lot of people hate their past. But if you do it right, it becomes part of why you are who you are
Who you
today.
are. Yes,
Hmm.
100%. 100%. And you couldn't have asked me that at the age of 21, right? And you couldn't have asked me that at the age of 25.
Oh, right.
It took the journey, it took the hard knocks, right? And that's
Hmm.
why this resonated with me. It was the hard knocks of life. And it's like, I've had a lot of hard knocks. I mean,
Yes.
that's just one portion, right?
Hmm.
There's so many other things that happened along the way. But the end result was I became more confident. I've met somebody in my life that is my soulmate, and we are just driving forward, right? And I
Yes.
didn't let the past prohibit me or stop me. And it made a lot of things very difficult, right?
Hmm.
But here we are. And so that's what I really wanted to bring on, was because I know there's so many other people. And you know what, we target women a lot. We say women, women, women,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
honestly there's men in relationships as well,
100%.
right?
100%. Yes, I am just so glad when I get to meet women that use that past as rocket fuel. I mean, you have seriously rocketed into your current situation. And the not stopping, the tenacity of it, the drive of it is such a it's just an ode to who you knew you always were and what you always desired. You just needed to let one of those chains be broken free so that you could figure it out. It's a crazy puzzle. It's like
It
dumping
is.
like a 10,000 piece puzzle out. What's the first
Yes.
thing you do? You start sorting and you find your border before you start filling it all
Filling
up.
in all the pieces. Yep.
Yeah, so building your border is exactly all you need to focus on at the beginning. Just put those outer pieces together, and the inside is going to come together with time, which is what has happened.
Yes. Yes, 100%. Yes. And I thank you so much for, having me on. And, I can't wait to see where you are in just a couple years. I mean, this is going to just explode. And I think this is really great thing you're doing because it's also very therapeutic, right?
It
It's
is.
very therapeutic to tell the story because, I haven't told my story.
Yeah.
Okay. And so to bring all that up, I mean, I had to catch myself a moment there, right? Because it's
Hmm.
like, okay, you know, um, let's not open the wound too much that are crying and can't control yourself in order to do this. But the bottom line is that it was very therapeutic for me because it's not something I go around talking about all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I am proud of you. I am so stinking proud of you, and you deserve all of the good things in this world. And you're going to continue by sharing this story. It's going to help other women see this is what it takes to get there. And although it can take some time, you're
Yes.
glowing. You are glowing. You are radiant. You are happy. You are like an explosion of sunlight compared to the dark shadow that you were made to be for a very early part of your life.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm very happy
Absolutely.
that you came and you shared this story with all of us. And you're always welcome to come back and share whatever else that you want.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For sure. 100%. We will definitely be doing that.
I would love it. Well, thank you so much for sitting with us today. I am so proud to know you. I'm so thankful for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Darcie. I greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely. If you want to go and find Denise on Facebook, Denise, tell them how they can find you.
I am actually Denise Jacqueline Gipe. If you just type that in, you can find me. And actually, you'll probably find my community page as well. If you just type in that Denise Jacqueline, you'll find me. I'll pop right up and everywhere. So, I do a lot of different things on Bookface, and looking to migrate over into that TikTok.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a fun place.
I haven't done that yet.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, so and that's where you can find me, and you can certainly DM me, and I'd be more than glad to do anything. I mean, honestly, I got into doing what I'm doing now because I wanted to help women. Right.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, that's what this is all about for me is helping people. I became a recruiter, right? That was my dream job, and that's helping people get a job. This is what I'm doing now in this, later years, and I'm helping women feel better about themselves, feel good. What can they do? Because we go through these changes. There's so many
Yes.
changes, right?
Yes.
So yes, that's what I'm here to do. So please look me up.
Yep, go find Denise. She is a ray of sunshine. Follow her, support her, reach out to her. I know she'd be happy to hear from you. We are so happy to be able to bring these kind of episodes to you so that you can truly see that healing is possible. Healing is always possible, you guys, especially when you're walking with God. I look so forward to seeing you guys on the next episode. See you later.